Hi, I'm John with Roundabout Woodworks, and in this video today I'm going to make an ornament. You know, Christmas is coming around, and I'm not big on Christmas. Even as a child, I mean, like any kid, I look forward to Christmas, but to me it was a big letdown. And while I'm not going to turn this video into a sermon, well, I don't want to turn this video into a sermon, so I'm going to keep my thoughts about Christmas to myself. If you look at it, if you've watched my baby rattle video, you'll think to yourself, wow, that looks suspiciously like one of John's baby rattles. And it's turned almost in exactly the same way. It is from one piece of wood. A friend of mine who has family in Georgia went to visit him, and when he came back he had a piece of wood about that long, and you know, he thought of me and said, here, I brought this back for you. So I took most of it and turned it into a lamp. And if you've seen my Facebook page, I put pictures of the lamp up there, and also put them up on Instagram and Google+, just so you can see one of my lamps. And the rest of it, I use some of it. I still have some of it, not much of it, not enough to make another lamp, but I had plenty to make a Christmas ornament. So basically it's turned the same way as I turn a baby rattle. Take a chunk, put it in the chuck. You don't need a chuck, but a chuck helps tremendously. Turn a ball with my skew, hollow it with my tiny hollowing tools, and then I turned two finials, a short one and a long one, and stuck them together. And it's not glued together yet. It still has yet to be polished. I'll glue it together then, but I mean, it's not going to come apart. It's a pretty tight fit. And I'll show you how I achieve that fit. I'll show you everything from start to finish, including a few hiccups and catches and warts and all. There's a couple of catches, a couple of runbacks from my skew. I've already shot the video, obviously. Did that yesterday. And anyway, don't really have a whole lot else to say. I hope you enjoy the video. Oh, I do have one other thing to say. No, I'll wait till the end of the video. I'll wait till the end. Alright, so I got a nice chunk of cedar. I did run it through the microwave in the house. Got in a little bit of trouble, but she forgave me because it smelled really nice. So I'm going to take my favorite tool and yours, 3/4 inch skew. I'm going to rough this to round. Now, I've got a chuck that I could just grab it square, but you really get better grip, more secure mounting if it's round when you put it in the chuck. And just to get a head start on it, basically. That way you'll have a piece left over that you can mount or whatever. If you round the whole thing off before you mount it, it's much more practical. So here we go. Guess which end's going in the chalk. Alright, I'll be back with it in a chalk. Alright, there are some subsurface cracks, which is normal, I suppose. What I've done is soak it in super glue, filling in the cracks to keep the wood to stick together. I don't want to touch it because the glue's wet. I don't use accelerator because that makes it turn white. But what we're going to do is turn a big ball on the end. So I think what I'm going to do, rather than glue myself to the piece of wood, is just let it dry. It'll take a little while because it always takes longer than I think it will. Anyway, that's what we're going to do. I'll be back. Alright, super glue takes a long time to dry in cedar, but I kept getting it skin over and I'd scrape off a little bit and it would be wet underneath. I think it's mostly dry down below. What I've gone ahead and done is mark out. I'm going to do 2 ornaments. One is going to be, well, I hadn't decided what I'm going to do with them. But anyway, I'm going to make 2 ornaments out of this. I'm only going to show the one probably, unless I mess it up. And then, well, either way, you're going to see. Anyway, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make a facing cut with a skew. The key to a successful facing cut, how do I get this where you can see? Okay, you see the edge there. You're going to be cutting, but you're going to cut away from the edge, not parallel to it. You only want to cut with the toe or the heel, depending on which way you look at it. Just the last little bit. And I do not want to get it up against the top, because what will happen is it'll grab at top. So I'm going to cut down like that. And as I go down towards the center, well, it's not even, so I can't do it. I mean, just watch what I'm doing. Slightly convex. It sticks out. It's puffed out a little bit. I can cut it completely flat if I want to, but I don't really want to. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to drill a hole through the center of it, and you could wait until after it's formed to do that, but I'm going to do it now because cedar is very weak. So if I form the ball and then try to drill a hole through it, if a bit catches, it'll break it off. And I could fix it doing that, but I don't want to. That's too much work. This is just an ornament. So what I'm going to do now is drill a hole through it. I'm going to be using a 1/2 inch Forstner bit. And the reason that I use a 1/2 inch Forstner bit is because when I'm ready to make the finials, I can size off of the bit with a caliper, and I don't have to measure. So I'm going to set up for that, and I'm not going to show that. You don't care about drilling, I'm sure. The hole drilled about to here. Actually, the hole goes to about here. I don't know if you can see the pencil lines. This is going to be the first ball, that's going to be the second ball, and this is just my gap so I can get the tool in. I reserve the right at any time to change my plan. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a ball. I'm going to start with the skew. Probably not this skew. I'm going to use this skew. It's a 1/2 inch. A little bit easier to work. really that critical. If you only have a 1-inch skew, you can do the same way, but I have many skews. And I'm just gonna make cuts until it's a ball. And you're probably thinking to yourself, there's got to be a tool or something or an attachment that I can use to turn balls. And there are many of them. I see new ones come on the market all the time. And I guess if you're going to make 1,000 of these, it's probably money well spent. It's not any faster to do it with a special tool. But, you know, I don't knock special tools. I just prefer to do things the old way, the hard way. So, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a ball. I may or may not do a bead. I haven't made up my mind yet. If I put a bead on the ball, I'm thinking I'm going to definitely put a bead in the middle, but I may or may not do one on each end. It'll look really cool, but I can always put a bead on the finial, and you don't want two beads right next to each other unless they're really well done. They can look kind of odd. So anyway, this is going to be a ball. See, I'm just cutting with the end of the tool. You see the dust on the tool. That's where I'm cutting with. I can hear the glue and the crack and a knot, I think. Yeah, not too bad. Not bad at all. That's what you don't want to do. What happened is I was too close. But I can fix it. See, still got my thread there. Goes in at the wrong angle and throws it back. What that means is the ball's going to have to be smaller. aren't going to have bead on the end. still got a thread. Use a tiny spindle gouge. To hollowing. Alright. At this point, this is just like one of my baby rattles, but I've never made one out of cedar. Cedar is not as much fun to turn as some of the other hardwoods, but it's really pretty. So I'm going to hollow this just like I hollow a baby rattle. Using my short hollowing tools, just a simple thing. The hole is only a 1/2 inch, so I have to be very careful. I want to leave a 1/8 or 3/16 lip at the hole diameter, and the inside is going to come out. So if you've watched my baby rattle video, you've seen me do that, but this is what we're going to do now. Standing in an odd position because of the camera makes this kind of awkward. With a baby rattle, you have to be fairly precise, or the sound changes depending on how the kid holds it. With the ornament, you just want light. You don't want it to hang down, pull the tree limb down. But since cedar's already a very light wood, you don't really have to go to an 1/8 or a 1/16. Stop and blow out the sawdust. And I can't get my finger in there. And the tape keeps me from going too deep. In theory. The camera was off, so you didn't get to see me part this off, but this is the ball. I don't know how well you can see. Anyway, it's a little thicker on the bottom, which is okay. It still barely weighs anything. You can see the cracks, which I pointed out before I realized the camera was off. There are cracks running through it all the way around. I had to re-glue them, and it's kind of ugly right now. You can see the remnants of the glue in the pores, but I'm going to put oil on it, and those will all but disappear. Anyway, now, if you watched my baby rattle video, you saw what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to make a jam chuck for this, stick it on here and sand this. Actually, I may sand this by hand. This is thin and fragile.